The gaming handheld market has been dominated by one device for the past several years, and that device is the Steam Deck. Valve's portable gaming PC changed the conversation around what a handheld gaming device could be when it launched, proving that there was a massive and underserved market of PC gamers who wanted to take their library with them without compromising on the breadth of games available or the openness of the platform. The Steam Deck was not perfect. It was thick, it was heavy, it ran warm, and the performance ceiling was firmly in the budget GPU territory that made demanding modern titles a challenge. But it was real, it was affordable, and it worked, and for millions of PC gamers, that was enough to make it the best handheld gaming device ever made. Now MSI has arrived at Computex 2026 with the Claw ATX AI Plus, powered by Intel's brand new Arc G3 Extreme processor, and the question everyone is asking is the same one that has been asked about every Steam Deck competitor. Since the original launched, is this finally the device that takes the crown? Let us start with the hardware at the center of this story, because the Intel Arc G3 Extreme chip powering the MSI Claw ATX AI Plus is genuinely new and genuinely interesting. Intel revealed the G-Series Panther Lake-based chips at Computex 2026 as their direct answer to the gaming handheld market, which has until now been almost entirely served by AMD's APU designs. The Arc G3 Extreme is built specifically for the power envelope, thermal constraints, and performance priorities of gaming handheld devices, which is a meaningfully different design brief than a standard laptop processor. Intel has taken their XC3 GPU architecture, which represents a significant generational improvement over the XC2 that powered the Battlemage Arc desktop cards, and optimized it specifically for handheld gaming workloads. The result is a chip that Intel claims delivers substantially better gaming performance per watt than the processors powering current generation gaming handhelds, which would be a significant achievement if the real-world numbers back up the claims. The MSI Claw ATX AI Plus is the first device announced with Arc G3 Extreme inside, and MSI has clearly put serious effort into the hardware design around the chip. The display is an 8-inch screen running at 120 Hz refresh rate with a resolution that provides sharp visuals for handheld gaming at the kind of quality settings that modern games benefit from. 8 inches is a meaningful upgrade from the Steam Deck's 7-inch display. In terms of screen real estate, and the higher refresh rate delivers a smoother gaming experience, particularly in fast-paced action games and competitive titles where high frame rates matter for responsiveness. MSI has also redesigned the ergonomics with new grip geometry that reviewers at Computex have described as meaningfully more comfortable for extended gaming sessions than previous Claw designs, which received criticism for their controller feel relative to the Steam Deck's more polished ergonomic execution. The AI Plus designation in the product name connects to the broader push toward AI-enhanced gaming that Intel and Microsoft have been building together, and it deserves explanation in the handheld context. The Arc G3 Extreme includes dedicated AI acceleration hardware that enables features like AI-driven upscaling, AI-enhanced frame generation, and AI-powered battery life optimization that adjusts performance settings dynamically based on what the game currently needs rather than running at fixed power states. For a gaming handheld where battery life and thermal management are critical to the user experience in ways they are not for a plugged-in desktop system, that AI-driven optimization layer has practical value that goes beyond marketing language. If the system can intelligently allocate power between the CPU, GPU, and AI accelerator based on real-time workload demands, the result should be better sustained performance and longer battery life compared to devices that manage power with simpler fixed governor approaches. The competitive context that the MSI Claw ATX AI Plus enters is more crowded and more sophisticated than the market the original Steam Deck launched into. The Asus ROG Ally X remains one of the most capable gaming handhelds available, powered by AMD's Z1 Extreme processor and offering strong performance in a premium chassis that gamers have responded to positively. Lenovo's Legion Go established itself as the premium large-screen option with its detachable controllers and 11-inch display, and Valve has continued iterating on the Steam Deck platform with hardware and software improvements that have addressed many of the original device's shortcomings. The market has matured significantly since the first wave of Steam Deck competitors arrived, and buyers now have real choices and real performance expectations that any new entrant needs to meet or exceed to justify their attention. Intel's history with gaming handhelds matters for understanding the competitive context of the Arc G3 Extreme launch. The original MSI Claw launched with Intel's Meteor Lake processor and received a complicated reception from the hardware community. Performance was inconsistent compared to AMD-based competitors, driver issues created problems in certain games, and the overall experience felt like a first-generation product that was competitive on paper but rough around the edges in practice. Intel worked hard on driver updates and performance improvements for Meteor Lake in the handheld context, and the experience improved meaningfully over the device's lifetime. But the first impression mattered, and it created skepticism in the handheld gaming community about Intel's readiness to compete in this space. The Arc G3 Extreme launch with the Claw ATX AI Plus is Intel's second chance to prove that lesson was learned, and the expectations being set at Computex suggest that Intel is taking that responsibility seriously. The gaming performance claims Intel is making for the Arc G3 Extreme and handheld gaming workloads are specific. Enough to be testable when independent reviews arrive, which is a positive sign compared to vaguer marketing claims. Intel is comparing the Arc G3 Extreme favorably to the AMD Z1 Extreme in a range of gaming titles across different genres and engine types, claiming meaningful frame rate advantages in several key benchmarks. The XE3 GPU architecture improvements over XE2 include better ray tracing performance, improved rasterization throughput, and optimizations for the types of geometry and shader workloads that modern games use most heavily. If those architectural improvements translate into real-world gaming performance gains that hold up in independent testing across a broad range of titles, Intel will have delivered on the promise that the original MSI Claw could not fully realize. Battery life is the dimension of gaming handheld performance that most directly affects how users feel about their device during actual use, and it is an area where the original MSI Claw underperformed relative to its AMD-based competitors. Running demanding games on a gaming handheld drains the battery rapidly regardless of platform, but the efficiency of the processor determines how long you can sustain reasonable gaming performance before needing to find a charger. Intel's claims about Arc G3 Extreme efficiency in the handheld power envelope are central to their competitive case, and the AI-driven power management features are specifically positioned as a way to extend gaming sessions beyond what previous Intel handheld processors could sustain. Independent battery life testing in real game titles at the performance settings that actual users choose will be the definitive test of whether Intel's efficiency improvements are as meaningful in practice as they appear on paper. The Steam Deck comparison that the title of this video raises is worth addressing seriously rather than dismissively, because the Steam Deck's position in the market is based on more than just hardware specifications. Valve's device benefits from deep integration with Steam, arguably the best game library and storefront in PC gaming, and from SteamOS, which has been refined specifically for handheld gaming with a user interface designed from the ground up for controller navigation and handheld use. The Steam Deck experience of picking up the device, launching a game from your library, and having it work well with appropriate default settings optimized for the hardware is one that competitors running full Windows have historically struggled to match. For sheer simplicity and consistency, Windows on a gaming handheld has gotten meaningfully better with each generation of devices. Software like Armoury Crate for the ROG Ally and MSI Center for the Claw have improved their automatic game optimization and performance profile management. But the fundamental challenge of running a desktop operating system on a handheld form factor with a controller as the primary input method has not been fully solved by any Windows handheld manufacturer yet. The pricing reality of the MSI Claw ATX AI Plus relative to the Steam Deck will be a critical factor in determining which buyers it actually reaches. Valve has been deliberate about maintaining accessible pricing for the Steam Deck, with the base model positioned as the most affordable, capable gaming handheld on the market. The premium Windows handhelds from MSI, Asus, and Lenovo have consistently cost significantly more than the Steam Deck, which has been a barrier for budget-conscious buyers who are drawn to the handheld gaming category but cannot justify the premium price. If the Claw ATX AI Plus launches at a price point that requires the performance and feature advantages to be clearly demonstrated to justify the premium over a Steam Deck, Intel and MSI need those real-world performance numbers to deliver convincingly, a device that costs significantly more than a Steam Deck but offers only modest gaming performance improvements will struggle to convert Steam Deck buyers regardless of how impressive the specifications look. The broader significance of Intel entering the gaming handheld space with purpose-built silicon rather than adapting laptop processors goes beyond the specific capabilities of the Arc G3 Extreme itself. When a major semiconductor company designs silicon specifically for a product category rather than treating it as a secondary use case for hardware designed primarily for something else, the results tend to be meaningfully better optimized for that category's specific requirements. AMD's dominance in gaming handhelds has been built partly on the fact that their APU designs have been well suited to the handheld power envelope even though they were not exclusively designed for it. Intel designing the G series specifically for handhelds signals a level of strategic commitment to the category that could yield progressively better results over successive chip generations as Intel accumulates experience and learnings from real-world handheld deployment. The final verdict on whether the MSI Claw ATX AI Plus with Arc G3 Extreme is a Steam Deck killer cannot be delivered fairly until independent reviewers have spent real time with shipping hardware running real game libraries in real use conditions. What Computex 2026 has shown is that Intel is taking the gaming handheld market seriously with dedicated silicon, that MSI has addressed the ergonomic and display shortcomings of previous Claw generations, and that the Arc G3 Extreme's architectural improvements over previous Intel handheld processors are real and meaningful on paper. Whether that translates into the kind of compelling real-world gaming handheld experience that earns the Steam Deck killer label is the question that reviews will answer, but for the first time. Since the original Claw, Intel and MSI have arrived at a gaming handheld show with hardware that deserves to be taken seriously rather than dismissed as a spec sheet exercise. That is progress, and in a market this competitive, progress matters. The software ecosystem that Windows gaming handhelds run is worth examining in depth because it is one of the most practically important factors that determines the day-to-day experience of gaming handheld ownership. When you pick up a Steam Deck and want to play a game from your Steam library, the experience is streamlined and thoughtful in ways that reflect Valve's years of experience designing software specifically for this. Hardware category. SteamOS boots quickly. The big picture interface responds well to controller input. Per-game performance profiles are applied automatically, and the overall feeling is of a device designed from the ground up as a handheld gaming console rather than a PC that happens to fit in your hands. Windows handhelds have been catching up with launcher software that wraps the Windows desktop experience in a more controller-friendly shell, but the underlying complexity of Windows still surfaces in ways that require more user attention and technical comfort than SteamOS demands. MSI's center application that overlays Windows on the Claw 8 has been improving with each generation of the device, and the Claw ATX AI Plus is expected to launch with a more polished and capable version that better handles automatic game detection, performance profile application, and the quick settings adjustments that handheld gamers need to access rapidly without pulling out a keyboard. The AI optimization features of the Arc G3 Extreme connect directly to this software layer, with the chip's AI acceleration handling dynamic power and performance management in ways that should reduce the need for manual user configuration compared to previous generations. A handheld that figures out on its own what settings to use for each game and optimizes accordingly is a significantly more approachable device for buyers who do not want to spend time tweaking TDP limits and GPU frequency settings to get the best performance. The accessory ecosystem and expandability of the MSI Claw 8 XAI Plus deserves attention because gaming handhelds are increasingly being used as the foundation for more flexible gaming setups that extend beyond pure portable use. The ability to connect a gaming handheld to a television or monitor and use it as a compact gaming console when at home, while carrying the same device as a portable gaming machine when traveling, is a use case that many buyers find compelling. MSI has designed the Claw 8 with connectivity options that support this docked use case, and the Arc G3 Extreme's graphics performance headroom should be sufficient to drive external displays at resolutions and refresh rates appropriate for couch gaming. On a larger screen, the combination of portable gaming performance on the go and reasonable console-like performance when docked at home potentially gives the Claw 8 a versatility argument that pure portable gaming devices cannot match. The long-term software support commitment from both Intel and MSI matters more for gaming handhelds than for many other product categories because handheld gaming PCs tend to be used for extended periods by buyers who invest in their game libraries and expect their hardware to keep working well over time. Intel's driver update cadence for Arc GPUs has improved significantly since the early Alchemist days, and the company has demonstrated willingness to continue optimizing performance through software updates long after hardware launch. MSI similarly has a track record of shipping firmware and software updates for Claw devices that address performance issues and add new features after launch for buyers. Evaluating a multi-year hardware investment, confidence in ongoing software support is a real and meaningful factor in the purchasing decision alongside the launch day specifications and performance numbers. The competitive response from Valve and AMD to Intel's gaming handheld push is something that will shape the market over the coming year in ways that benefit every buyer regardless of which device they ultimately choose. Valve has been quiet about a potential Steam Deck 2 for some time, but the arrival of Intel's purpose-built handheld silicon and the increasingly capable Windows handheld competition from MSI, Asus, and Lenovo creates market pressure that Valve will need to respond to in order to maintain the Steam Deck's position as the value standard of the gaming handheld category. AMD similarly has incentive to accelerate their next-generation handheld APU development to maintain their performance advantage in Windows handhelds and their exclusive position in Steam Deck hardware. Competition at this level historically produces better products faster, and the gaming handheld buyer who waits 12 to 18 months to see how the market responds to the Arc G3 Extreme launch may find an even more compelling set of options available than what Computex 2026 has revealed. For buyers who are actively in the market for a gaming handheld right now and trying to decide between the current generation of options while the MSI Claw 8 XAI Plus and other Arc G3 Extreme devices are still months from retail availability. The advice is straightforward. The Asus ROG Ally X and the Steam Deck remain the strongest options currently shipping, each with different strengths that suit different buyer priorities. The ROG Ally X offers the best Windows gaming handheld performance, currently available in the most polished Windows handheld software experience. The Steam Deck offers the best value, the most seamless SteamOS gaming experience, and the largest handheld optimized game library.